Greetings and welcome, everyone, and thank you for coming to my presentation. My name is Thomas Goetz, and I'm a professor of English at Hokusei Gakuen University in Sapporo, Japan. The title of this talk is Which Border to Cross? A comparison of two English placement tests currently in use in Japan. Borders are for discovery. Communication across borders requires proficiency in the target language. With it, doors open to new worlds, jobs, and relationships. Along the way, learners discover new goals, most attainable, but starting often means placement testing. The sky is the limit. This presentation will consider placement testing as a type of border crossing. Which border to cross can be seen as which placement test to use. By comparing two English placement tests currently in use in Japan, it is hoped that such a look will assist program administrators who must make important border type decisions within fixed budgets, benefit teachers with purposely sorted students into level-appropriate classes, and finally deliver program-level excellence to students who will be most affected. The two tests for consideration are the Cossec Test and the WorldLink Placement Test, published by the Cengage Learning Corporation. The placement testing system is in no way perfect, but given the constraints of time and budget, institutions work within their frameworks. These tests tend to remain the same from year to year and are often perceived as high stakes. Generally, test takers have one chance to demonstrate their skill levels with vocabulary, listening, and grammar. Noticeably, a lack of vocabulary is a major cause of failure according to the perceptions of test takers. So the type of test with its component parts has serious implications for test-taking constituency. Here, two placement tests in current use in Japan will be considered. A test which employs item response theory and a publisher-provided test tailored for a textbook series will be examined. The Cossec Test. The Cossec Test is an online test to evaluate a test taker's ability to communicate in English. It has been taken by 1 million candidates. Cossec stands for Computerized Assessment System for English Communication. It applies item response theory as its internal driver for determining a score. The Cossec test is available by subscription. A single session costs 500 yen or 3.9 euros. Cengage Learning's Test. The WorldLink Placement Test is a comprehensive test that selects materials from 4 WorldLink books: Intro, Book 1, Book 2, and Book 3. It is free with the purchase of any of the corresponding teacher's manuals and program-level adoptions. There are 2 versions available, versions A and B. In this study, we used version A. The purpose and research method. The intent of each test is to sort students. First and second year Hokusei students, all non-English majors, were used. To check for similarity, a correlation was run. Statistics were generated by StatView SE plus graphics 1.03 On a 1996 PowerPC Macintosh 7600-120 using System 9.2.1. Survey data were collected with SurveyMonkey. The WorldLink placement test was adapted from the publisher's ExamView resource CD to Moodle's quiz module. The results. Statistica reports that there was a correlation of 0.98737 between the WorldLink placement test A and the Cossec test. As you can see by the graphics, the very basic representation of the bell curves of each show that they are visually similar. The results were significant at 0.05. This is to say that among the test takers, the scores generated show generally similar distributions such that whatever differences there are insignificant. Again, a quick visual from the matrix scatter plot shows the similarity with low, middle, and high level performers sharing similar kurtoses or profiles. The covariance here indicates the direction of the linear relationship between the two tests, which is very strong. Correlation measures both the strength and direction of the linear relationship between these two tests. Here we have a very strong correlation, and this is reflected by the highly significant R squared. These normal probability plots show that the data sets are approximately normally distributed. The data are plotted against a theoretical normal distribution in such a way that the points should form an approximate straight line. Departures from this straight line indicate departures from normality. Both of them are relatively straight, with a little bit of what I call sneaking. Let's look at the survey data. A survey was administered on SurveyMonkey to gather student feedback for the purpose of gaining insight to test taker experience. This one shows our gender distribution. In both settings, we have slightly more females than males. If the test-taking experience was positive, what made it so? Likewise, for negative experiences. The number of students who participated were limited to 2 classes, with approximately 30 students in each. There were 28 students in the Cossec group responding to the survey, and 29 in the WorldLink group. In the Cossec group, they were mainly second-year students, and in the WorldLink group, they were mainly first-year students. How much time did you need to finish the Cossec test? Mainly, 70% needed 40 or more minutes to complete the Cossec test. How much time was needed to finish the WorldLink placement test? 90% needed 30 or more minutes to complete the WorldLink test. This is quite different from the Cossec test. Were these tests of appropriate length? The students commented that the Cossec test was long, but okay, while the WorldLink test was both shorter, but still on the okay long side. On a negative note, Moore reported that the Cossec test was too long as compared to the WorldLink test. The length of the Cossec test was longer in that it used item response theory, and more time seems to be needed for that to work out an individual score for each test taker so as to determine their level. On to the mechanics. Audio quality, both were okay. This could refer to anything ranging from the hardware used, such as headphones or even the computer, or the audio files embedded. It was refreshing to see that both environments were largely the same. The visual quality, again, mainly the same. Some teachers and students commented that the Cossec graphics were slow loading. Background images were common in Cossec, whereas in the WorldLink test, background images were not used in favor of lightweight JPEGs and only when necessary. The overall quality. To ask any group of people if something was good or not, it is nonetheless a vague question. However, when given a chance to answer, one does get an overall answer. This answer may include ideas already touched upon or not. If there is any comment to make, it appears that there was greater reservation with the Cossec test, but given the limited number of respondents, one should exercise caution. The data speaks. Survey data shows feedback from students. Feedback from the office staff and colleagues was also included. Such feedback illustrates the importance of matching the right placement test with the right setting with respect to academic and financial and administrative concerns. In summary, the students preferred the WorldLink test with respect to the time needed to complete it and the test's overall lengths. The office secretary felt that both were equally easy to set up. There was no preference here. As for the office accountant, there was clearly a preference: the price. The professors involved mentioned advantages and disadvantages. For the Cossec, the advantages were this: it was a turnkey experience with professional support. The minus part was it was expensive. For the WorldLink placement test, it was budget friendly, but a minus part, the disadvantage was someone needed to assume responsibility for it, and a paper backup was prepared but never used. There is nothing that the Cossec test can do that the WorldLink placement test cannot accomplish when in the hands of competent Moodle users, faculty and students inclusive. A savings of 1.5 million yen, or 12,000 euros, with the same outcome was observed. The WorldLink placement test benefited this local program as in the face of shrinking budgets. Students could be placed accordingly. A placement test is often the first test that can determine future paths. Borders always have two sides, and placement tests are no different. Both tests provide a positive overlay to colleagues and students. Both were systematic and purposeful for assigning students to level-appropriate classes. The WorldLink test was budget-friendly and just as useful as the Cossec test. The Cossec test is a fine instrument that can be useful in settings where a methodology is being applied and the researchers would want to control pre- and post-test scores against the treatment provided. The study considered two placement tests currently in use in Japan, the Cossec and the WorldLink placement tests. The Cossec test is available by subscription and features item response theory in determining student proficiency level in the target language, regardless of textbooks used. The WorldLink placement test is freely available for programs that adopt the WorldLink series. It is based upon previously accumulated data in constructing a norm-referenced environment where test taker outcomes may be compared and ranked accordingly. While markedly different, the intent of each is to sort students within a short amount of time. A correlation between the two showed compatibility. Results from a student feedback survey showed a favor towards the WorldLink test. The largest benefit was budgetary, but needed is competent local talent to set the WorldLink placement test and troubleshoot it if necessary. Program administrators who must make important border type decisions with fixed budgets can deliver program level excellence at a savings. Thank you very much for listening.